The Miami cruise terminal buzzed with anticipation under the blazing August sun. A chaotic symphony of rolling suitcases, chattering families, and blaring intercoms announcing boarding times. Maya Johnson, a 32-year-old Black American single mother, stood amidst the crowd, her heart pounding like a drum in her chest. Her deep brown skin glistened faintly with sweat as she clutched 3 tickets, her calloused fingers tracing the edges nervously. She had spent the past year scrimping and saving, working extra shifts at the community health clinic, where she served as a nurse to afford this Caribbean cruise a rare chance to create joyful memories for her 7-year-old twin boys, Caleb and Noah. The twins, biracial with warm brown skin and striking blue eyes inherited from their father, tugged at her hands, their excitement barely contained. Caleb, the bolder of the two, pointed through the terminal's glass wall at the immense white cruise ship anchored in the harbor. "Look, Mom, it's huge!" he shouted, his curly hair bouncing as he jumped. Noah, quieter and more introspective, clutched a small sketchbook, his eyes wide with wonder. "Can we draw it later?" he asked softly, already imagining the ship's curves on paper. Maya smiled, her complete lips curving despite the anxious flutter in her chest. At 32, she carried the weight of raising her sons alone. Their questions about their father, a man she hadn't seen in 8 years, lingering like an ache she could never soothe. This trip was her gift to them, a chance to see their faces light up and forget the gaps in their story, even if just for a week. Her phone buzzed in her purse, and she glanced at a text from her best friend Keisha, a 33-year-old Black American teacher who had been her rock since college. "You deserve this," Maya, the message read. "Let the boys see you happy. Call me if you need me." Maya's heart warmed at the words, but glancing at her bank app showed a balance teetering near zero. She told herself that the sacrifice was worth it. Watching Caleb and Noah press their noses against the glass, their biracial features glowing with anticipation. She locked her phone and squared her shoulders, her dark eyes resolute as she guided the boys toward the boarding line. A few yards away, a sleek black sedan pulled up to the curb, its door opening to reveal Ethan Caldwell, a 34-year-old white American tech CEO. His pale skin contrasted sharply with his tailored navy suit, and his silver blonde hair caught the sunlight as he stepped out, his polished shoes clicking on the pavement. At 6'2", Ethan moved with practiced confidence, ignoring the curious stares of onlookers. His assistant, a young woman in her late 20s, trailed behind, muttering about schedule changes and cabin arrangements. Ethan focused on a $50 million deal to expand his software empire into Asian markets, nodded absently. At 34, he had built a fortune from nothing, but the cost of his ambition weighed heavily, a past he rarely let himself revisit. "Cabins confirmed, sir," his assistant said, adjusting her glasses. "VIP Suite Deck 12. Meeting rooms are booked for tomorrow." Ethan's blue eyes, sharp and calculating, flicked toward the ship. "Good. No mistakes, Lauren. This deal's critical." His voice was firm, but a restlessness stirred beneath his polished exterior. 8 years ago, he had left behind a woman who haunted his quieter moments, Maya, with her radiant laugh and unyielding spirit. He pushed the thought away, striding toward the VIP lane, unaware that Maya and her sons were navigating the crowded general boarding line beyond his view. Inside the terminal, the air was thick with excitement and the scent of salt water. Maya knelt to adjust Caleb's backpack, her hands steady despite her nerves. "Stay close, okay?" she said, her voice warm but firm. Caleb grinned, his bold energy infectious, while Noah nodded, clutching his sketchbook tighter. The intercom crackled. "Passengers for the Caribbean Star prepare to board." The twins squealed, and Maya's heart lifted, her dark skin glowing under the fluorescent lights as she imagined the adventures awaiting them. She didn't notice Ethan bypassing the line, his pale face set with determination. Nor did he see the biracial boys whose features echoed his own. As Maya guided the twins through the crowd, their small hands in hers, she felt a surge of pride. This trip was for them to see their joy and tell them a story. Climbing the gangway to his private suite, Ethan felt only the weight of his ambitions, unaware that fate was about to upend his carefully ordered world. The ship's horn blared, signaling departure, and two worlds, Maya's love for her sons and Ethan's pursuit of power, sailed toward an inevitable collision. The Caribbean Star's lower-deck cabin was a cozy haven, its circular porthole framing the endless blue of the ocean. Maya Johnson knelt beside a small suitcase, unpacking Caleb and Noah's clothes with practiced care. The twins sprawled on the bunk beds, their laughter filling the space, as Caleb tossed a stuffed shark at Noah, who giggled and retaliated with a pillow. "Careful, you two," Maya said, her voice warm but firm, a smile tugging at her lips. Caleb, ever bold, leaped off his bunk to inspect the porthole, pressing his nose against the glass. "Mom, it's like we're in a submarine." Noah, quieter, sat cross-legged, sketching the porthole's curve in his notebook, his pencil moving with careful strokes. The sight of their joy eased the knot in Maya's chest, but as she folded a tiny t-shirt, a memory surged unbidden, pulling her back 8 years. It was a crisp autumn evening at Howard University, the campus alive with the hum of students and the rustle of leaves. Maya, then 24, sat on a bench outside the library, her textbooks forgotten, as Ethan Caldwell leaned close, his blue eyes sparkling under the street lamp. They'd met, an unlikely pair, in a computer science class, her a nursing student with a quick laugh, and him a tech prodigy with big dreams. Over months, their study sessions turned into late-night talks, his hand brushing hers as they shared visions of a future. "I'm going to build something that changes the world," Ethan had said, his voice fierce with ambition. "And I want you with me, Maya." She'd believed him, her heart swelling as she imagined a life where love and ambition intertwined. That night, he kissed her under the oak trees, promising, "No matter where I go, I'll come back for you." However, weeks later, Ethan got a call from a startup in Silicon Valley, offering a chance to code for a groundbreaking app. "It's just a few months," he'd said, packing a single bag in their shared apartment. Maya, her eyes stinging, nodded, clinging to his promise. He added that, "I'll call every day," his voice softer, as if convincing himself. She watched him leave, her hand resting on her stomach, unaware of the life growing inside her. Days turned to weeks, then months with no word. Calls went unanswered, texts unread. When Maya learned she was pregnant, she sat alone in their empty apartment, her dreams of a shared future crumbling. Her best friend Keisha had found her there, tears streaming, and held her tight. "You're stronger than this," Keisha had said. "You'll be the best mom those babies could have." Maya had clung to those words, building a life for her sons, but the scar of Ethan's abandonment never fully healed. In the cabin, Maya shook off the memory, her fingers tightening around Noah's sketchbook as she tucked it beside his bunk. "Can we see the pool now?" Caleb asked, bouncing on his toes. Noah looked up from his drawing, hopeful. Maya nodded, forcing a smile. "Let's get your swim trunks." She wouldn't let the past steal this moment. Her boys deserved a vacation filled with laughter, not the weight of questions about a father they'd never known. On the ship's upper deck, Ethan Caldwell stood in his luxurious suite, its polished wood and private balcony starkly contrasting with the cramped cabin below. He reviewed a contract on his tablet, the fine print detailing his $50 million deal to expand his tech firm into Asia. His assistant, Lauren, hovered nearby, confirming tomorrow's investor meeting. "Everything's set, sir," she said. Her voice clipped. Ethan nodded, but his focus wavered. As he gazed out at the ocean, a flicker of Maya's smile crossed his mind, the way she'd laughed at his bad jokes and the warmth of her hand in his. 8 years ago, he'd left her behind chasing a dream that demanded everything. He'd meant to call to return, but the startup's chaos consumed him late nights investor meetings, a whirlwind that left no room for the past. By the time he'd built his empire, Maya was a ghost in his memory, a regret he buried under success. Now standing in the suite, he felt a restlessness he couldn't name, unaware that the woman he'd left was just decks away, her sons carrying his eyes. Maya led Caleb and Noah through the ship's gleaming corridors, their sneakers squeaking on the marble floor. Caleb chattered about the water slide, while Noah clutched his sketchbook pointing at a mural of dolphins. Maya's phone buzzed. There was a text from Keisha. "You okay out there? Boys having fun?" Maya typed back. "They're thrilled. I'm trying to be." She pocketed the phone, her heart heavy but resolute. This trip was for her sons. She'd keep the past at bay. Meanwhile, Ethan stepped onto his balcony, the sea breeze ruffling his hair, his thoughts drifting to a promise he hadn't kept. The ship sailed on, carrying them toward a reunion neither could foresee. The Caribbean Star's pool deck sparkled under the midday sun, a vibrant chaos of splashing children, upbeat calypso music, and the tang of salt water in the air. Maya Johnson sat on a cushioned lounger, her eyes fixed on her twin sons, Caleb and Noah, as they played in the shallow end. Bold and fearless, Caleb cannonballed into the water, his laughter ringing as he surfaced, shaking droplets from his curly hair. Noah, more reserved, perched on the pool's edge, his sketchbook balanced on his knees, capturing the arc of a diving seagull with quick pencil strokes. Maya adjusted her sunglasses, her heart swelling at their joy. This was why she'd saved for this cruise, to see her boys carefree, untouched by the questions about their father that often clouded their eyes. Her phone buzzed in her bag, a text from Keisha Hope. "You're soaking up the sun, girl, boys. Okay." Maya smiled faintly, typing back, "They're in heaven. I'm holding it together." She tucked the phone away, determined to focus on the moment. Across the deck, Ethan Caldwell paced near a shaded bar, his phone pressed to his ear, his tailored shirt slightly rumpled from the heat. "No delays, Lauren," he said sharply to his assistant. "The investors expect a full presentation tomorrow." His voice carried the weight of his $50 million deal, but his gaze wandered distracted by the lively scene. As he ended the call, his eyes caught on Caleb, who stood on the diving board, arms outstretched, ready to leap. The boy's blue eyes, sharp and familiar, sparked something in Ethan, a memory he couldn't place. He froze, his phone dangling in his hand, as Caleb jumped, landing with a triumphant splash. Noah clapped from the side, his shy smile mirroring his brother's energy. Ethan's brow furrowed, a strange unease settling in his chest. Was it the boy's eyes like his own, or how his laugh echoed a past he'd buried? Maya, adjusting Noah's sun hat, didn't notice Ethan's gaze. She handed Noah a bottle of water, her voice gentle. "Stay hydrated, okay? No running off like Caleb." Noah nodded, his pencil pausing, as he watched his brother splash a group of kids squealing in mock protest. Maya laughed, but her attention shifted when she overheard a conversation nearby. Two women sipping colorful drinks leaned close, their voices low but audible. "That's the tech guy, right?" the CEO one said, nodding toward Ethan, who was now ordering a coffee at the bar. The other glanced at Caleb and Noah, her eyes narrowing. "Those boys look just like him. Same eyes, same jaw. You think they're his?" The first woman shrugged, whispering, "Bet there's a story there." Maya's stomach tightened, her fingers gripping the lounger's armrest. She dismissed the gossip as idle speculation, but worry took root. Could people see a resemblance? She shook her head, focusing on Noah's sketch, praising the seagull's wings. That's beautiful, Noah. You're getting better every day. Oblivious to the whispers, Ethan sipped his coffee, his mind still on Caleb's leap. He hadn't thought of Maya in years, but something about the boy's features tugged at a memory, her smile perhaps, or the way she'd teased him about his awkward dives at the university pool. He pushed the thought away, chalking it up to the ship's close quarters, playing tricks on his mind. His phone buzzed again. Lauren's text flashing. Investors want a pre-meeting tonight. Deck 10, lounge. Ethan sighed, slipping the phone into his pocket. He needed to stay sharp, not chase ghosts from his past. As he turned to leave, Caleb's laugh rang out again, a bold, infectious sound that made Ethan pause. He glanced back, watching the boy high-five another kid, while Noah sketched quietly, unaware of the stranger's scrutiny. Maya stood, calling Caleb back to the lounger. Time to reapply sunscreen, mister. Caleb groaned, but obeyed, bounding over with a grin. She smoothed the lotion on his shoulders, her eyes scanning the deck warily. The women's whispers lingered in her mind, reminding her how quickly rumors could spread in this floating city. She wouldn't let idle chatter ruin their trip. Can we go to the slide next? Caleb asked, his energy undimmed. Noah looked up, hopeful. Maybe after I finish my drawing. Maya nodded, her smile masking her unease. Deal. Let's stick together, though. She gathered their towels, leading them toward the towering water slide, her steps brisk to outrun the nagging worry. Now, heading toward the elevator, Ethan passed within feet of Maya, focusing on his phone. The crowd parted briefly, and for a moment their paths aligned, Maya's hand on Noah's shoulder. Ethan's head bent over his screen. Neither noticed the other, but the air seemed to hum with unspoken tension, as if the ship sensed their nearness. A passenger snapped a photo of the pool deck, capturing Caleb's leap and Ethan's distant figure, a grainy image that would soon fuel speculation. As Maya and the twins climbed the slide stairs, and Ethan disappeared into the elevator, the whispers grew louder, a murmur of curiosity that would soon spiral into something neither could ignore. The Caribbean Star hummed softly in the late-night stillness, its corridors bathed in muted light from overhead fixtures. Maya Johnson sat on the edge of her cabin's lower bunk, her fingers smoothing the blanket over her sleeping twins, Caleb and Noah. The small room felt cozy, the porthole casting a faint moonlit glow across their faces. Sprawled with a stuffed shark tucked under his arm, Caleb snored lightly, his bold energy finally resting. Noah curled tightly, clutched his sketchbook, a half-finished drawing of the ship peeking from the pages. Maya's heart ached with love, but the weight of the day, overhearing whispers about the twins' resemblance to a tech CEO, pressed heavily. She glanced at her phone, and a message from Keisha glowing on the screen said, "You're doing great, Maya. Don't let gossip ruin this." She sighed, setting the phone down, hoping sleep would quiet her unease. On the upper deck, Ethan Caldwell strode through a dimly lit hallway, a folder of deal documents tucked under his arm. His phone buzzed with a text from his assistant, Lauren, pre-meeting in cabin 12B, deck 10, 11 p.m. sharp. Ethan checked his watch, 10:58 p.m., and quickened his pace, his polished shoes muffled against the plush carpet. The $50 million deal to expand his tech empire loomed, and he rehearsed his opening pitch, determined to impress his investors. A typo in Lauren's message, unnoticed in his focus, sent him toward deck 8, not 10, to a cabin far from the VIP lounge. His mind flickered briefly to the boy at the pool earlier, Caleb, whose blue eyes stirred a nagging memory of Maya. He pushed it aside, gripping the folder tighter, unaware that fate guided him to a life-altering mistake. Maya, still awake, stood to adjust the porthole's curtain, her silhouette soft in the cabin's glow. The ship's gentle sway lulled her, but her thoughts lingered on the past. Ethan's promise to return, broken 8 years ago. She shook her head, refocusing on her boys, when the cabin door creaked open. Startled, she spun around, her breath catching, as Ethan stepped inside. his expression shifting from confidence to confusion. He froze, expecting a meeting room, but instead saw a pair of small sneakers by the door and bunk beds with sleeping children. "Wrong room," he muttered. Then his eyes met Maya's and time seemed to stop. Her face, illuminated by the faint light, was unmistakable, those dark eyes, that fierce jaw set. "Maya," he whispered, his voice barely audible. Maya's heart slammed against her ribs, a mix of shock and fury rising. "Get out!" she hissed, stepping forward to shield the twins, her voice low to avoid waking them. Caleb stirred, his eyes fluttering open, while Noah murmured in his sleep, clutching his sketchbook tighter. Ethan's gaze darted to the boys, and his breath caught their features, even in the dim light, mirrored his childhood photos, the sharp jaw and blue eyes. A cold realization hit him, his folder slipping slightly in his hand. "Maya, he started, but she cut him off, her whisper, venomous. "You have no right to be here, Ethan. Leave now." She moved to the door, her body a barrier between him and her sons, her hands trembling with rage. Ethan's mind reeled, the pieces falling into place, the twins, their resemblance, the years since he'd left Maya. "Are they?" He began, unable to finish. Caleb, now awake, sat up, rubbing his eyes. "Mom, who's that?" he asked, his bold curiosity cutting through the tension. Noah stirred too, blinking sleepily, his sketchbook falling to the floor. Maya's voice softened for her son, but her eyes burned into Ethan. "Just someone who's lost Caleb. Go back to sleep." She turned to Ethan, her whisper fierce. "You don't get to barge in and disrupt our lives. Get out!" Ethan, stunned, stepped back, his heart pounding, as he saw Caleb's bold stare and Noah's shy glance, both so familiar, it hurt. Maya shut the door quietly in the corridor, her back pressed against it, her breath shaky. Ethan stood frozen, the folder now limp in his hand. "Maya, I didn't know," he said, his voice raw. "I thought this was a meeting. I swear I had no idea you were here." Her eyes flashed, tears threatening, but held back. "You didn't know because you left Ethan. You chose your dreams over me, and I built a life for them without you." She gestured toward the cabin, her voice breaking. "They don't need you now." Ethan opened his mouth to respond, but a security guard appeared, drawn by their raised voices. "Everything okay, ma'am?" he asked, eyeing Ethan's suit skeptically. Maya crossed her arms. "He's in the wrong place. We're fine." Ethan nodded, dazed. "My mistake," he said, and the guard, after a wary glance, left. Alone again, Maya's glare softened to pain. "Stay away from us," she whispered, then slipped back into the cabin, locking the door. Ethan stood there, the hum of the ship's engines echoing his racing thoughts. The twins' faces haunted him. Could they be his? He stumbled back to his suite, ignoring Lauren's buzzing phone, and sank into a chair, the deal forgotten. Maya inside sat by the bunk, stroking Noah's hair, as he slept, her mind churning. She texted Keisha, "He's here." "Ethan, I don't know what to do." The reply came instantly. "You're strong, Maya. Protect your boys, but don't let him steal your peace." She clutched the phone, tears falling as the ship sailed on, carrying them toward a reckoning neither could escape. The Caribbean Star's corridor glowed faintly under soft overhead lights, the hum of the ship's engines, a steady pulse in the quiet night. Maya Johnson leaned against her cabin door, her breath uneven after forcing Ethan out. Caleb and Noah slept inside, their soft snores barely audible through the closed door. Caleb's stuffed shark lay askew on his bunk, while Noah's sketchbook rested open, a half-drawn seagull glowing in the moonlight. Maya's hands trembled as she clutched her phone, her mind reeling from Ethan's sudden reappearance. 8 years ago, He'd vanished without a word, leaving her to face pregnancy and motherhood alone. His shocked face and the twins' uncanny resemblance to him threatened to unravel the life she'd built. She texted Keisha. Ethan walked into our cabin. "I'm shaking." Keisha's reply was instant. "Oh, Maya, you're stronger than he'll ever know. Call me." Outside, Ethan Caldwell stood frozen, his folder of deal documents forgotten in his hand. The corridor's plush carpet muffled his steps. As he backed away, his heart pounding. Maya's fierce words, "You have no right," echoed in his mind, as did the twins' faces, their blue eyes mirroring his childhood photos. He stumbled toward his suite on deck 12, the opulent space feeling hollow. Sinking into a leather chair, he stared at the ocean through his private balcony's glass gilt washing over him. He'd left Maya for a tech startup chasing a dream that became a $50 million empire. But at what cost? He hadn't known she was pregnant, but her accusation stung. He'd chosen ambition over her. His phone buzzed Lauren, his assistant texting about the investor meeting, but he silenced it, unable to focus. The twins. Caleb's bold stare, Noah's shy glance haunted him. Were they his? Maya slid to the floor inside the cabin, her back against the door, tears prickling her eyes. She opened her phone and dialed Keisha despite the late hour. "He just walked in like nothing happened," she whispered when Keisha answered, her voice thick with emotion. "He saw the boys, and I saw it in his eyes. He knows they might be his." Keisha's voice was steady, soothing. "You don't owe him anything, Maya. You raised those boys alone, and you're their world. What do you want to do?" Maya exhaled, glancing at the bunks. "I want to protect them. He can't just waltz back in." Keisha paused, then said, "If he's serious, he'll have to prove it. But don't let him steal your peace. You're enough for Caleb and Noah." Maya nodded, though Keisha couldn't see, and hung up, her resolve hardening. She wouldn't let Ethan disrupt her son's happiness. Morning light filtered through the porthole, stirring Caleb and Noah. Caleb bounced out of bed, his energy undimmed. "Can we get pancakes?" he asked, tugging at her sleeve. Noah, rubbing his eyes, held up his sketchbook. "I drew the ship last night. Look." Maya forced a smile, her heart still heavy. "It's incredible, Noah. Let's get dressed for breakfast." She helped them into shorts and t-shirts, her hands steady, despite the turmoil inside. Caleb's chatter about the water slide and Noah's quiet pride in his drawing grounded her. She wouldn't let Ethan's presence overshadow their trip. As they headed to the dining hall, she scanned the corridors warily, half expecting to see him. Ethan, meanwhile, stood on his balcony, the sea breeze sharp against his face. He hadn't slept, replaying Maya's anger and the twins' curious gazes. His phone buzzed again, Lauren reminding him of the investor meeting, but a new urgency overtook him. He needed to talk to Maya, to understand if the twins were his, and make amends for leaving her. He headed to the dining hall, hoping to find her his suit jacket left behind, in favor of a simple shirt, as if shedding his CEO armor might make him less of a stranger. The bustling hall was filled with clinking plates and laughter, but his eyes searched for Maya's familiar silhouette. Maya guided the twins to the buffet, helping Noah balance a fruit plate while Caleb piled on pancakes. She felt eyes on them, a few passengers whispering as they passed. "That's the tech guys' lookalikes," one muttered, nodding toward the twins. Maya's jaw tightened, but she focused on her boys, praising Caleb's restraint with syrup and Noah's neat arrangement of strawberries. As they settled at a corner table, Caleb looked up, his voice curious. "Mom, why was that man in our room last night?" Noah paused, his fork hovering, waiting for her answer. Maya's heart clenched. "He got lost, sweetie," she said softly. "It was a mistake." Caleb frowned, unconvinced, but Noah nodded, returning to his fruit. Ethan spotted them from across the hall, his pulse quickening. He started to approach, but Maya's guarded glance stopped him. She stood ushering the twins toward the exit, her posture protective. Ethan hesitated, then turned away, his guilt deepening. Maya tucked Noah's sketchbook into his bag, back in her cabin, her mind racing. The whispers, Caleb's question, and Ethan's face threatened the peace she'd fought for. She texted Keisha. "People are talking. I don't know how to handle this." Keisha replied, "You've got this, Maya. Keep those boys first." Maya steeled herself as the ship sailed on, unaware that the whispers were about to explode into a storm neither she nor Ethan could control. The Caribbean Star's decks buzzed with morning activity, the sun casting golden streaks across the ocean. Maya Johnson guided Caleb and Noah through a crowded corridor, her hands steady, despite the unease gnawing at her. The twins' breakfast chatter. Caleb's excitement about the water slide, Noah's quiet pride in his latest sketch, had briefly lifted her spirits. But the passenger whispers from the dining hall lingered. Those boys looked like that CEO one had said their words sharp in Maya's ears. As she led the twins toward the gangway for a shore excursion, her phone vibrated. A text from Keisha read, "Check your messages, Maya. Something's up." Opening a link. Keisha sent. Maya froze. A social media post showed a grainy photo of her and the twins on the pool deck. Caleb mid-laugh. Noah sketching with a headline screaming, "Tech mogul's secret family on luxury cruise comments." Speculated wildly about Ethan Caldwell's paternity, some even comparing the twins' eyes to his childhood photos. Her stomach churned, her grip tightening on Noah's hand. Caleb, sensing her tension, tugged her sleeve. "Mom, why are people staring?" His bold voice wavered, his eyes scanning the passengers, snapping discreet photos. Noah, clutching his sketchbook, pressed closer to her, his shyness amplifying under the scrutiny. Maya said, "They're just curious." "Sweetie," her voice strained but gentle, "let's keep moving." Caleb sat on a chair, fidgeting, his worry evident. The doctor diagnosed a likely virus, possibly worsened by stress or the ship's motion, and advised rest and observation. Maya nodded, her eyes stinging, as she placed a cold compress on Noah's forehead, whispering, "You're going to be fine, Noah." Word of the incident spread quickly, and Ethan appeared at the infirmary door, his face etched with concern. He'd been in a lounge dodging calls from his assistant Lauren about the viral post when a crew member mentioned a sick child resembling him. "Is he okay?" Ethan asked, stepping closer. His suit jacket gone, his shirt sleeves rolled up. Maya's jaw tightened, her instinct to push him away, warring with exhaustion. "He's sick, Ethan," she said, her voice low. "This isn't your place." Caleb looked up, his bold gaze fixed on Ethan. "Why do people say we look like you?" he asked, his question cutting through the tension. Groggy but awake, Noah glanced at Ethan, his shy curiosity flickering. Ethan knelt beside Noah's bed, his voice soft. "I don't know yet, buddy, but I'm here to help." He offered Noah a cup of water, his hand steady despite his racing thoughts. Maya watched, her arms crossed, torn between anger and a grudging relief that she wasn't alone. The doctor returned, confirming Noah's fever was stabilizing, but recommending a few hours rest. Ethan lingered, ignoring Maya's guarded stare, and handed Caleb a tissue when he sniffled, worried for his brother. Ethan said, "You're a good big brother," earning a slight nod from Caleb. Maya texted Keisha, "Noah's sick." "Ethan's here." "I'm overwhelmed," Keisha replied. "You're their rock, Maya. Let him help if he's genuine, but trust your gut." As the hours passed, Noah's color returned, his fever dropping. The doctor cleared him to leave, advising rest and hydration. Maya lifted Noah, his sketchbook tucked under her arm, while Caleb clutched her hand. Ethan held the door, his presence quiet but steady, Can I walk with you? He asked, his voice raw. Maya hesitated, then nodded too, drained to argue. They moved through the corridor, a tentative trio, Caleb asking Ethan, "Do you like to draw?" Ethan smiled faintly. "Not as good as your brother, I bet." Noah nestled against Maya, managed a weak smile. The gangway had closed, trapping Maya on the ship, but Noah's health came first. As they reached the cabin, Maya realized she couldn't run from Ethan or the rumors. The whispers, the photos, and Ethan's concern formed a storm she'd have to face, with her boy's safety as her anchor. The Caribbean Star's event lounge hummed with anticipation, its polished wood walls reflecting the glow of camera flashes. Maya Johnson stood at the back, half hidden behind a tall passenger, her heart pounding as she watched Ethan Caldwell step toward a small podium. The room filled with a dozen reporters and curious onlookers, buzzed with whispers about the viral post linking Ethan to her twins Caleb and Noah. Maya had left the boys in a supervised kids' activity room, their faces bright. Caleb plotting a water slide race, Noah sketching a dolphin to shield them from the media storm. Her phone buzzed with a text from Keisha. "You're at the press thing. Be strong, Maya. You don't owe him trust yet." She pocketed the phone, her jaw tight, torn between fleeing and needing to hear Ethan's words. His shirt sleeves rolled up. Ethan gripped a folded paper, his usual CEO confidence tempered by a visible tension. The social media post with its grainy photo of Maya and the twins had exploded, threatening his $50 million deal to expand his tech empire. His investors panicked about negative press, demanded a statement to quell the rumors. Ethan had spent the morning wrestling with the decision, Noah's pale face in the infirmary haunting him. He'd texted his lead investor, "I'm pulling out of the deal. My priorities have changed." The reply was furious, but Ethan felt a strange relief. Clearing his throat, he faced the microphones, the room falling silent. "Thank you for coming," he began, his voice steady but raw. "There's been speculation about 2 children on this ship, and my connection to them. I want to be clear. There's a strong possibility they're mine." A murmur rippled through the crowd, cameras flashing. Maya's breath caught her fingers gripping the doorframe. Ethan continued, his gaze steady. "I only learned of their existence recently and take full responsibility for my past mistakes. I left their mother years ago chasing a career, and I regret it deeply. Until paternity is confirmed, I ask for privacy for her and the children. They don't deserve this scrutiny." A reporter in the front row raised her hand, her tone sharp. "Is this to save your business deal? Damage control for your company?" Maya's heart clenched, the question echoing her fears. Ethan met the reporter's eyes, unflinching. "No. I've withdrawn from the deal. The children come first. I'll do whatever it takes to protect them and their mother." The room hushed, the weight of his words sinking in. Maya's eyes widened, her guard wavering. He'd walked away from a $50 million deal. She'd spent years convincing herself Ethan cared only for success. But this sacrifice challenged that belief. Another reporter asked about DNA testing, and Ethan nodded. "We'll arrange it soon, but only with the mother's consent." His gaze flicked toward the back, finding Maya's eyes for a fleeting moment. The intensity in his look, regret, resolve, steadied him, as if her presence anchored his resolve. A photographer shouted, "So you were a deadbeat dad until the tabloids caught you." Ethan's jaw tightened. "I didn't know she was pregnant. That's no excuse. I should have stayed in touch. If they're mine, I'm here to compensate for lost time." The crowd stirred, some scribbling notes, others whispering. Ethan raised a hand, his voice firm. "I won't share details about the mother or children. They deserve privacy. Thank you for respecting that." He stepped back, shaking a few hands, but deflecting further questions. Maya slipped out, her pulse racing, and leaned against a corridor porthole, the ocean's vastness calming her. Ethan's words replayed his admission, his sacrifice. She texted Keisha. He owned it publicly, gave up his deal. I'm shaken. Keisha replied, That's a start, Maya. See if his actions match his words. Ethan emerged from the lounge, wiping sweat from his brow, and spotted Maya. He approached cautiously, his voice low. Did you hear it all? She nodded, her expression guarded. I wasn't sure you'd do it, she admitted, her voice tight. You walked away from the deal. He exhaled, nodding. It was the right thing. I can't undo the past, but I want to be here for you and the boys if you'll let me. Maya studied him, her anger softening but not gone. People will still talk, she said, glancing at a passing passenger snapping a photo. They'll want more pictures and interviews. Ethan's eyes darkened. I'll handle it. I need you to know I'm serious. She crossed her arms, the weight of 8 years heavy between them. We'll see, Ethan. Maya headed to the activity room as they parted, where Caleb and Noah greeted her with hugs. Caleb was handed a paper boat, and Noah showed a dolphin sketch. Their joy anchored her, but Ethan's public stand lingered a crack in the walls she'd built. Back in his suite, Ethan stared at his phone, ignoring his investors' angry messages. For the first time, he felt the weight of a new priority family overtaking his ambition, setting the stage for the twins' questions and a fragile path forward. The Caribbean Star's cozy cabin glowed with the soft light of a bedside lamp, the hum of the ship's engines, a gentle backdrop. Maya Johnson sat on the edge of the lower bunk, tucking a blanket around her twins Caleb and Noah, who were propped up against their pillows, their eyes bright despite the late hour. Caleb, his stuffed shark clutched tightly, fidgeted with restless energy, while Noah, his sketchbook open to a new page, traced the outline of a seagull with careful strokes. The day's events, Ethan's public statement, the whispers that followed had left Maya raw, her heart caught between anger and a cautious hope. She'd avoided the ship's crowded decks since the press conference, keeping the boys in a quiet game room, but their questions could no longer be sidestepped. Her phone buzzed with a text from Keisha. You holding up? What do the boys know? Maya exhaled, setting the phone aside, knowing the moment she'd dreaded had arrived. Caleb, his bold gaze fixed on her, broke the silence. Mom, is that man our dad? His voice was direct, cutting through the cabin's stillness. Noah paused, sketching his shy eyes, lifting to meet hers, waiting for an answer. Maya's throat tightened, the weight of 8 years of solitude pressing down. She knelt between their bunks, her hands resting on their blankets. I don't know for sure, Caleb, she said, her voice steady but soft. His name's Ethan, and we knew each other long ago. He left before you were born, and I only told him about you recently. Caleb frowned, his brow furrowing. Why didn't he stay with us? Noah, quieter, added. Does he want to know us now? Their questions pierced her, each a reminder of the life she'd built alone. Maya took a deep breath, choosing honesty. Ethan made a mistake back then, chasing a job far away. He didn't know about you two, but now he's here and says he wants to be part of your lives. What does that mean? Caleb nodded slowly, his fingers twisting the shark's fin. He said he was nice when Noah was sick, glancing at his brother. Noah, his pencil still murmured. He looked at my drawing. He didn't laugh at it. Maya's heart ached, seeing their cautious curiosity. She brushed Caleb's curls and squeezed Noah's hand. You don't have to decide anything now. I'll keep you safe always. They nodded, but their eyes held questions she couldn't yet answer. The next morning, Maya led the twins to a quieter dining area, the ship's bustle muted by early sunlight streaming through expansive windows. Ethan appeared at the entrance, his shirt casual, his posture hesitant. He'd texted Maya earlier, asking to join them, and she'd agreed, her guard still up, but softened by his actions in the infirmary and press conference. Caleb spotted him first, waving boldly. "Hey, Ethan?" Noah, clutching his sketchbook, offered a shy smile. Maya nodded, gesturing to an empty chair. "Sit," she said, her tone neutral. Ethan settled across from the twins, his eyes warm but cautious. "How's my favorite artist?" he asked Noah, who blushed and slid his sketchbook forward, showing a dolphin leaping from the sea. "It's excellent," Ethan said, his voice genuine, earning Noah a slight grin. Caleb, never one to hold back, leaned forward. "Do you like boats? Noah says they're hard to draw." Ethan chuckled, relaxing slightly. "I'm no artist like Noah, but I like boats." "Ever been on a sailboat?" Caleb shook his head, eyes wide, while Noah listened, sketching quietly. Maya watched her coffee cooling, untouched, a mix of emotions swirling, bitterness for the years, alone relief at Ethan's effort, and fear of what his presence might mean. Her phone buzzed. "Keisha." "How's it going with him there?" Maya typed back. "He's trying. Boys are curious. I'm scared, but I'm letting it happen." Keisha replied, "You're their rock. If he's real, he'll prove it. If not, you've got this." As breakfast unfolded, a few passengers glanced their way, whispers quieter since Ethan's statement, but still present. Caleb, noticing, asked Ethan, "Why do people keep looking at us?" Ethan hesitated, glancing at Maya, who gave a slight nod. "Some think you look like me," he said carefully. "I told them I might be your dad, but we're figuring it out together." Caleb's eyes narrowed, processing, while Noah's pencil paused, his shy gaze meeting Ethan's. "Would you stay with us?" Noah asked softly. Ethan's throat tightened. "I want to know if your mom's okay with it." Maya's heart fluttered, her fingers gripping her mug. She wasn't ready to trust, but the boys' openness tugged at her. They finished eating, the twins' chatter filling the silence. Maya stood, gathering their plates. "Let's check out the deck," she said, her voice steadier than she felt. Ethan followed, keeping pace as Caleb bounded ahead, Noah trailing with his sketchbook. The twins ran to the railing on the sunlit deck, pointing at diving gulls. Ethan knelt beside them, answering Caleb's questions about the ship's engines, while Noah showed him another sketch. Maya hung back, watching Ethan's patience, her walls cracking. She wasn't ready to forgive, but for the first time, she saw a path where Ethan might fit, not as the man who left, but as someone trying to stay. The Caribbean Star's top deck pulsed with the vibrant energy of a family carnival, colorful streamers fluttering in the warm sea breeze. Maya Johnson stood near a railing, the ocean's blue expanse stretching before her, as she watched her twins, Caleb and Noah, dart toward a booth offering balloon animals. Caleb, his bold laugh ringing out, waved a paper sword he'd won at a game, while Noah, clutching his sketchbook, pointed at a clown twisting a balloon into a giraffe. The sight of their joy eased the knot in Maya's chest, though the weight of Ethan's reappearance lingered. His public statement, sacrificing his $50 million deal, had shifted something in her, a crack in the walls she'd built over 8 years. Her phone buzzed with a text from Keisha. "Boys happy." "How's it going with Ethan?" Maya typed back. "They're thrilled. He's trying. I'm still scared." Keisha's reply was swift. "Take it slow, Maya. You're in control." Ethan Caldwell, his suit jacket discarded for a casual polo, followed the twins, his steps tentative but eager. Since breakfast, he'd stayed close, answering Caleb's endless questions and admiring Noah's sketches, his patience surprising Maya. Now at the carnival, he knelt beside Caleb, who was tugging him toward a ring toss game. "Please, show me how to win," Caleb demanded, his eyes bright with challenge. Ethan grinned, handing him a ring. "Aim for the middle, buddy. Nice and steady." Noah, standing nearby, watched shyly, his sketchbook open to a half-drawn balloon animal. Ethan glanced at him, nodding encouragingly. "Want to try?" Noah. Noah hesitated, then stepped forward, his small hands gripping a ring. Watching from a distance, Maya felt a pang of nostalgia. Ethan's easy charm reminded her of their college days before ambition tore them apart. A few passengers glanced their way, whispers quieter since Ethan's press conference, but still present. Maya caught a woman snapping a photo, but Ethan's sharp look made her lower her phone. His protective instinct shielding the twins from prying eyes stirred something in Maya. Perhaps gratitude, or the faint hope that he could be more than the man who left. Caleb's ring landed on a peg, and he whooped, high-fiving Ethan. Noah's ring missed, but Ethan clapped anyway. "Good try, Noah. You'll get it." Noah's shy smile widened, and he flipped his sketchbook to show Ethan a new drawing. A ring toss booth with a stick figure, Ethan cheering. Ethan's eyes softened. "That's me. You're amazing, kid." Maya's heart tugged, her fingers tightening on the railing. Could she trust this version of Ethan? They moved to a face-painting booth with Caleb choosing a pirate design and Noah opting for a dolphin. Ethan, roped in by Caleb's insistence, let a staff member paint a small star on his cheek, earning giggles from both boys. Maya laughed, despite herself, and the sound surprised her. The four felt like a unit for a moment, the carnival's music and laughter wrapping them in a fragile bubble of normalcy. Her phone buzzed again. Keisha. "Sounds like a good day. Trust your heart, Maya." She pocketed the phone, her gaze lingering on Ethan as he helped Noah rinse paint from his fingers, his patience unwavering. She remembered the nights she'd cried alone, pregnant and abandoned, but his actions, now steady, present, challenged her resentment. The twins begged to try a water balloon toss as the sun dipped toward the horizon. Ethan joined them, his pant legs rolled up, laughing as Caleb's balloon burst, soaking his shirt. Noah, more cautious, tossed his, gently beaming when it stayed intact. Maya stepped closer, handing out towels, her voice soft. She admitted, "You're good with them," her eyes meeting Ethan's. He wiped water from his face, his expression earnest. "I'm trying, Maya. I can't erase the past, but want to be here now." She nodded, her guard softening. "It's a start," she said, the words heavy with possibility. A passenger nearby whispered, "That's the CEO and his kids." But Maya ignored it, focusing on Caleb's triumphant shout as he won a small prize. The twins ran to exchange their game tickets for plastic toys, with Caleb clutching a toy sword and Noah a tiny dolphin. Ethan followed, carrying their prizes, his star-painted cheek glinting in the fading light. Maya hung back, the ocean breeze cooling her skin. She felt a shift, not forgiveness, but a willingness to let go of some anger for her boys, for herself. The carnival's lights twinkled, and for the first time she imagined a future where Ethan might belong. As the twins returned, waving their toys, Caleb asked, "Can Ethan come with us tomorrow?" Noah nodded, his dolphin held tight. Maya glanced at Ethan, his hopeful gaze steady. Maybe, she said, a small smile breaking through. The ship sailed on the horizon, glowing, carrying them toward a tentative new beginning. The Caribbean Star's top deck shimmered under the golden glow of sunset, the ocean reflecting fiery hues as the ship neared its final port. Maya Johnson stood by the railing, her hands resting lightly on her twins, Caleb and Noah, who leaned forward, pointing at distant seabirds. Caleb, his bold energy undimmed, clutched a toy sword from the carnival, waving it like a pirate captain, while Noah, quieter, held his sketchbook, a new drawing of the ship's horizon taking shape. The carnival's joyful chaos had left Maya with a fragile sense of hope, and Ethan's patience with the twins was cracking her defenses. Her phone buzzed with a text from Keisha. "You sound lighter." "Maya, Is he stepping up? She typed back. He's trying. I'm letting the boys decide. Keisha's reply was warm. You're their anchor. Trust yourself. Maya pocketed the phone, her gaze on the horizon, where the promise of a new beginning flickered. Ethan Caldwell stood nearby, his casual shirt, a far cry from his usual suits, his star-painted cheek from the carnival faded but still visible. The day's moments laughing with Caleb at the ring toss, admiring Noah's sketches, had solidified his resolve. Since pulling out of the $50 million deal, he'd ignored his investors' calls, their angry messages irrelevant against the pull of family. Now, as the ship's crew announced a closing family event on the deck, Ethan needed to act to show Maya and the twins he was all in. He caught Maya's eye, his expression nervous but determined. Can I say something at the event? He asked, his voice low. Maya hesitated, her fingers tightening on the railing, then nodded. If it's for them, go ahead. Her tone was cautious, but her eyes held a spark of trust. The deck filled with families, music pulsing, as staff handed out ribbons for carnival games. Caleb and Noah clapped as kids received awards, their faces excitedly bright. Ethan approached a staff member requesting the microphone for a brief moment. Sensing the weight of his request, the organizer handed it over with a smile. Folks, share your favorite cruise moments in the ship's log, write a comment, give a thumbs up, or join our guest book to stay part of the journey, she announced, her enthusiasm infectious. Ethan stepped to the center of the small stage, the crowd quieting, a few phones raised to capture the moment. Maya stood with the twins, her heart pounding, Caleb's sword, still Noah's sketchbook, tucked under his arm. Ethan cleared his throat, the microphone trembling slightly in his hand. Thank you all for making this cruise unforgettable, he began, his voice steady but raw. I came here for a business deal, but found something more critical, a chance to reconnect with someone I cared about deeply, and two incredible boys. He paused, his eyes finding Maya's, then the twins. Years ago, I made a mistake chasing success and leaving behind a woman who deserved better. I won't lose that chance again. These boys, Caleb and Noah and their mother, are my priority now. I'm ready to build a family if they'll have me. His voice cracked, and he knelt, not in a proposal, but in a pledge, his gaze locked on them. Caleb's eyes widened, his sword dropping as he whispered, Is he staying? Mom, shy, but curious. Noah clutched his sketchbook tighter, looking at Maya. Tears pricked her eyes, the weight of 8 years. Lonely nights, endless shifts, unanswered questions, colliding with Ethan's vow. She knelt beside the twins, her hand brushing Caleb's curls, Noah's shoulder. I'm scared, she whispered to Ethan, her voice shaky but clear. But I'm willing to try. The twins whooped Caleb, hugging her, Noah pressing his dolphin toy into Ethan's hand. The crowd applauded, some snapping photos, others murmuring, What a story, a staff member called out. Do you love that moment? Share it in our guestbook, comment, like, or subscribe to our cruise memories. Ethan stood, pulling Maya into a brief, hesitant embrace, then ruffled the twins' hair, his eyes shining. We'll figure it out together, he said, his voice firm. Maya nodded, her tears falling freely now, a weight lifted. They moved to the railing as the crowd dispersed, the four standing close, watching the horizon glow. Caleb swung his sword, declaring, We're a pirate crew now. Noah showed Ethan his sketch, murmuring, You can be in it. Ethan smiled, his heart full. Maya's phone buzzed. Keisha. You've got this, Maya. Family's worth it. She leaned against the railing, the sea breeze cool on her face, reflecting that true wealth wasn't Ethan's lost millions, but this moment together, fragile but real. As the ship docked, the announcer invited passengers to share their journey, comment, On our wall, give a like or subscribe for more adventures. Maya, Ethan, and the twins lingered their silhouettes against the sunset, a family taking its first steps. The path ahead wasn't sure, but they faced it as one for now.